30. 98% of people are eligible for parental leave don't take it, so we'll find out why. And on back row, James Bond's missus says having a female James Bond wouldn't be very good. I'll explain that at 11:30.
Phil Williams then here at 10:30, and Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong guys, the other side of the latest BBC News.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
With the 5 Live News, I'm Nick Hatfield. The International Development Secretary, Penny Mordaunt, says Oxfam must show moral leadership following the prostitution scandal in Haiti. She's met senior officials from the charity, though it appears no decision was made on whether its state funding would be cut. Labour's Stephen Twigg chairs the International Development Committee.
There will be some who may see an opportunity to say that this is somehow a consequence of our commitment to aid. This isn't. It's a consequence of individuals abusing their power, and that is completely wrong. That needs to be rooted out, and undoubtedly Oxfam has questions to answer.
Oxfam's Deputy Chief Executive, Penny Lawrence, resigned earlier. The Charity Commission has also started an inquiry. Residents have been allowed back home following the discovery of a World War II bomb in the Thames in London. The device has been moved to a different part of the river and a controlled explosion is due to take place. London City Airport has been closed all day. The Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar says he's hopeful the DUP and Sinn Féin will come to an agreement this week on restoring power sharing. It follows talks in Belfast. Theresa May was also there and is urging Northern Ireland's political leaders to make one final push. Tributes have been paid to 3 British tourists who were killed in a helicopter crash in the Grand Canyon. Becky Dobson and her partner Stuart Hill were killed, along with his brother Jason. Family and friends say they're devastated. Francis Bradley is the local police chief.
We weren't able to extract everybody from the crash site until 2 this morning. High winds, brown-out dust conditions, rugged terrain, and as you know, when you fly in treacherous conditions like this, you have to have special training and special people.
President Trump's daughter-in-law has opened a letter containing an unidentified white powder. It was addressed to his son, Donald Trump Jr. Vanessa Trump and 2 others were decontaminated but did not have any physical reaction. And police in South Africa say a suspected big cat poacher has been eaten by lions near the Kruger National Park. They don't know yet who it is. A loaded hunting rifle and ammunition were found nearby.
Thank you, Nick. In the sport this evening, Chelsea are back into 4th in the Premier League after beating West Brom 3-0. Eden Hazard got a couple of the goals. All the reaction in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast. St Andrews has been chosen to host the 150th Open Championship in 2021. England could be without Owen Morgan, the captain, as they play New Zealand in Wellington in the T20 Tri-Series. You can hear it on 5 Live Sports Extra at 5:45 in the morning. And Ireland's Robbie Henshaw is out of the Six Nations with a dislocated shoulder.
The best live sport.
Europe's elite club competition.
The Champions League. Round of 16. On Tuesday night. Live commentary of Juventus versus Spurs. 7:45 kickoff. Plus updates from Basel against Manchester City. Then on Wednesday, more live commentary. Liverpool travel to FC Porto. The build-up begins in 5 Live Sport from 6:30. The UEFA Champions League. This is 5 Live.
That's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. More meaty topics. First, we're going to discuss if players are fitter today than in our era. Then we're going to talk about sexism in sport. Remember, you can use the hashtag FredSavSide to suggest future topics. So our first topic is something Robbie's been thinking about a lot. Are players today fitter than they were when we played sport? And also, is this era better than the one we played in? Robbie, what's your take on this?
So, being a pundit on the TV, I hear a lot that the game's moved on, the game's much faster, the game's much fitter, the players are stronger, all this, I'm talking in terms of football. And that got me thinking, right? So, when I played, Matthew, which is, I retired 7 years ago, I think 9 years since I last played in the Premier League. Yep. I've got to say, I believe, and this is just my opinion, I think the top 6 now have probably strengthened in their squad, strengthened depth. So the top 6, I think, are probably better now as a collective than the top 6 when I played. Mm-hmm. But I think down the league, the teams when I played were stronger, the lesser sides, was stronger. Yeah, that's just my first and foremost thought. Just my opinion.
Stronger in what?
So the league, I believe, when I played,
Yeah.
was as 20 teams, like the Charltons, the Boltons, was stronger than like the Huddersfields and the Bournemouths. That's just my opinion. Do you know what I mean? That's what. So I think on a week-to-week basis, this is my opinion. I believe the Premier League, when I played, was as difficult, if not more difficult. I played against the Invincibles. I played against some of the best midfielders in the world: Vieira, Petit, Keane, Scholes. You can Gary Speed. You can go through other sides. I'm just trying to think of players. Zola.
Loads to pick from then, isn't there?
Makelele, Lampard, Gerrard, Alonso. These players. Beckham.
Yeah.
So why do people say now the Premier League's moved on? It's fitter, it's quicker. Going back years before that, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, no substitutes, worse pitches. They drunk a lot. I'm not Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, but players of that years ago drunk a lot. They smoked a lot.
Yeah.
So why?
So they're fitter now then?
Well, this is what people say. It's a lot fit.
Take a step back. Do you agree that if you look generally at sport, if you look at human performance, it's been getting better through the decades? Better nutrition, higher levels of technology. I'll give you a couple of examples. Winner of the 100 metres in 1900 was 11 seconds. Today, that wouldn't be sufficient to get to the final of a secondary school national trials. Diving.
Hang on a minute. When was that?
In 1900, the winner of the Olympics got 11 seconds.
I didn't think they'd be that quick. That's quick.
It's quick, but it's nowhere near as fast as they are today.
Only a second and a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's 10%. That's a massive difference in the 100
100
metres.
years.
Yeah, exactly. So they're taking a tenth.
But they didn't have
every decade.
they didn't have a nice pair of trainers.
Exactly, but that's the point. That's the point for it. In diving, the double somersault was almost prohibited.
Couldn't care
Yeah, but
less.
Matthew,
In
Are we
the
talking about
1924
diving?
Olympics, now it's routine. Fastest time for the marathon in 1896 was a few minutes faster than the entry time for today's Boston Marathon. It's true in every single area. We're getting faster.
so you think football's that moved on physically?
Well, if you look at, for example, 1976, the average distance covered in a top division match was at 8 to 11 kilometres, 25% of which was walking and 11% sprinting. By 2002, the average footballer covered 12 to 14 kilometres.
2002,
and a higher
correct.
percentage
So, yeah.
is at top six. So, another what I see if I look at sport, when I look at human society, is we're getting better. Partly, Fred, because of technology. Partly because science is moving forward and nutrition. Partly because we're training people in a more effective way. You know, the highest ELO rating of all time in chess is Magnus Carlsen. He's around today. You see this progression, this evolution, and that's a fantastic thing. You know, a player like you, I'm going to be. This is a bit critical here.
14
You look at
kilometres.
you look
14
at
kilometres.
Yeah, but you look at your era. And you think, I was a good footballer. You were a good footballer. You maximised your talent. It's difficult to admit that the players today in the Premier League were when did you retire?
7 years ago, 10 years Premier League. So now, no, I completely disagree. Completely disagree. So I look at Premier League players now, who I went for 3 million quid, my record move. Mm-hmm. That now, I'd be worth 15 million, 20 million. Fact, I think so.
What? Sorry.
20 million?
What?
You reckon you would sell for 20 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you would.
Yeah.
20, Fred? Really?
So, okay, let me ask you a question.
Can a Kit Kat?
So you think that's my point.
Yep.
So I get the theory, 1976, 1980. Yeah, I get that. The game, I believe, physically has moved on.
And you can see it, can't you? If you watch the matches from the 1970s, it's slower.
Yeah, slower.
Look at how quick the players are now. The close control, the way they can track a moving ball.
I accept that. Mm-hmm. But the biggest change from that era is probably the professionalism of sports science, of not going out.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That has probably changed.
The drinking culture.
Yeah, that's probably changed, right? But you're saying from 10 years ago when I played in the Premier League, this is my point. Mm-hmm. So I get your point from years ago. So from 10 to 15 years ago, so from the early 2000s, you think the Premier League now is better, more physical, quicker?
I think it's much more marginal over very short.
Is that yes or no?
Yeah, slightly.
Not physical because you can't touch each other, can they?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think
it's not a very good point, Andrew. That's a very good point. There you go.
It's probably not as muscular and combative because the ways that the referees are interpreting the rules. I mean, Glenn Hoddle, if you look at him, he used to get kicked off the park. Georgie Best, they would get protected more by referees. Fred's right about that.
Is it more skillful now?
I think skill is growing through time.
How do you work that out?
Because the training methods are better. They're practicing for longer. People are, certainly in other sports, football, I know that the training sessions are short because people are trying to avoid injuries because the matches come so thick and fast. But yes, if I look at Kevin De Bruyne and the scope...
Did you not see Gianfranco Zola, Ryan Giggs play?
Great player. Bergkamp, fantastic.
Bergkamp, not see Bergkamp?
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's difficult to say that they're that much more skilled because you're talking about some of the most skilled and superlative players of that era. But I think that broadly, yes, football is getting more skilled. And the main reason for that is because training methods are becoming more efficient in the transitional phase from youth to senior football. You know, when you're in the class of 92, the training wasn't as sophisticated as it is today. I mean, think back to your
apprenticeship. But that was the most successful youth team ever.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they weren't good relative to the competition.
If training's moved on, why has there never been a youth team like that ever? And the training was basic.
Well, that youth team was brilliant relative to all of the other competition at the time. I think
that youth team now
don't get me wrong,
would still be the best youth team. If that youth team was today, that would still be the best youth team ever.
I think that if the World Cup winning team of 1966 was to train in the way that football is trained today, they'll be a fantastic team. If, however, you were to take that group of men who actually played at Wembley and put them in the Premier League, they would have absolutely no chance. They have the ability to be fantastic if they were to be trained in the most sophisticated way. But you look at the way that match ensued against Germany, football today in the Premier League is at a different level. It's not a criticism of them. It's a criticism of the era and the amateurism. How's it in cricket, Fred?
Cricket? Well, if you listen to people who played in the 70s and 80s, they'll tell you how much faster it was, how much better it was. They could bowl faster, they could do this, that and the other. And it beggars belief. It's not true.
Yeah.
Everything in the world has got faster.
Yeah.
But bowlers were faster in the 70s. Come on, lads. You know, you look at for the time, they'd have been quick.
Yeah.
Your Michael Oldings, your Jeff Thomases and these lads. But probably, let's be honest, 80 mile an hour, a bit quicker than that.
Yeah.
And you got faster. I look at my own career. From when I started, I was nearly 10 mile an hour faster at the end of my career than when I started because training methods changed.
Yep.
And I got fitter, I got stronger. Cricket. And then now they talk about, well, there's no fast bowlers knocking around. Well, there's a lot of bowlers bowling 90 mile an hour plus, but the batters aren't even bothered.
Yeah.
Because you train at that speed now.
Yeah.
There's ways of doing it, which you never did back in the day. So it's absolute nonsense, to be honest.
I see the same, believe it or not, in table tennis. You know, like in the past, you would practice against one other player across the net with one ball. Then we started using multiple balls. And then it would be a coach firing balls at you with a bucket, so you're sharpening your reactions all the time. I watch the Chinese training now. They have two people firing two different baskets of balls. And instead of playing on a normal-sized table, they play on one which is 1.5 the width, so you're having to move further every time you hit the ball.
Tell you what, that game's moved on, hasn't it?
So you're talking about skill levels then? In skill levels then? Skill levels. So I think...
Skill levels in cricket are just dramatically different.
There's no
dramatically different.
How come then? Is this individually then?
Have you seen
Shane Warne?
Yeah.
Why has there never been another Shane Warne?
Because he was a freak. He was just so much. He was so much better. And I reckon one of the reasons was with Shane Warne, he's a leg spinner, so fitness comes into it a little bit. His skill levels were so high.
Yeah.
The way in which he could read a game and read a batsman and read what's going on around. He's massively underrated. Everyone thinks of Shane Warne, bit of a lad, but as a cricket brain, amazing.
So if training's so much better, why isn't there a leg spinner like Shane Warne? If training's moved on.
Because Fred's right, every now and again you get a player who is ahead of their time. Shane Warne, Muhammad Ali.
I think that is the key to all this, is as a manager and as a structure at a club, being one step ahead of everything else. Look at Pep Guardiola now. As a manager...
Matthew said he was a failure, by the way.
Oh, yeah, but it was...
What?
Have you read his pieces? You just have a crack at everyone.
Yeah.
So, you've got Pep Guardiola, who's always evolving as a manager.
Yeah.
And we've seen it at City. He's evolved, and evolved. And he's now ahead of the game. And everyone's chasing Man City and Pep Guardiola. On the flip side, let's say you've got a Mourinho who's still doing the same things he's always done and he's getting found out.
Wenger.
Wenger, how's he still got a job? Him?
Yeah, Wenger's doing exactly the same now as he was when he arrived at Arsenal.
Today, Andrew.
And Fred, you mentioned a bit earlier about cricket and how it has evolved. Is there an equivalent of Guardiola in cricket in terms of the way players have been trained, the way they set up tactically, the way they think about field placements? Is there anybody today, maybe there isn't one, maybe the next great coach is coming along, or if not today, over the period of time that you've been in cricket, who you would say, that coach was an innovator? I've
not worked with one, but I reckon cricket is more so the players have done it.
Really?
What we've seen with the introduction of 2020 cricket is the technique has changed so much. Yeah. And I'll be honest, the way in which I played, I would now have to change my game to be successful, especially in 2020 cricket.
In what way?
I was pretty simple. I could bowl fast. I could bowl a Yorker, a bouncer. In that and that. But
Could you swing it?
Not really. I could reverse swing it, but I didn't have a slow ball. In the times I played, I didn't think I needed it. When I batted, I just used to pump it straight or swing across the line. I couldn't do these cheeky flicks and that. I'd have to learn all that. And then the players have evolved. Josh Butler's moved the game on.
Yeah.
A.B. de Villiers, Virat Kohli's. These guys have come up with methods for playing for themselves. I reckon the biggest shift was, in cricket a few years ago, was Adam Gilchrist.
Yeah.
I reckon he changed the game. Him and, to a lesser extent, MS Dhoni. Because all of a sudden, Test cricket was all about hanging in and staying in. Then you got these two lads, especially Gilchrist, came in at number 7 and smashed it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think he accelerated Test cricket almost single-handedly.
Yeah.
So I think it's been the players as opposed to the coaches. But cricket, it's a completely different game. You imagine a one-day game when I first started. If you got 220, you've got a great chance. Now sides are chasing down 350.
It's amazing.
But you get all these old ones, and they still bang on about it being better in their day. It's an absolute joke. The game's changed since I've retired 9 years ago.
You talked about technique and how that has evolved. Do you think there's been any change in tactics? Like, I notice sometimes that the way they try and identify the weakness of a particular batsman and set up the field, it's more data-driven, the coaches are a bit more analytical. I know that you sometimes think that's taken too far, but do you think the weaknesses are identified in a more sophisticated way today?
I think so, but I think ultimately the game's changed more so in the shorter form of the game. In the longer form of the game, a good ball is still a good ball. A good ball. But I think you see older players and people who've retired, and you always get better once you retire. Yeah. But I think a lot of people try and protect the legacy.
That's right.
By talking up the game of yesterday.
Like Robbie.
No,
I'm not.
You said the teams that you played in were better than the teams today.
Teams I played. No, I'm not saying the teams I played in, but I played against the Invincibles. I played against the Arsenal side, which that Arsenal side I played against with a forward line of Henry, Overmars, in the middle of Petit, Vieira, Bergkamp. That would beat any side. Now that would beat the Manchester City side.
They won't be able to keep up with them.
They wouldn't.
Vieira and Petit, Overmars, Henry.
If they trained like they train now, they'd be all right. But if you took that team, plucked them out, when was it? 2000.
That Arsenal team.
If you put that team out now,
2004,
and put them against City now, they'd just be tired running off that ball.
So you're telling me?
No chance.
You're telling me Overmars, who
them
was
baggy shirts. They got no chance in them baggy shirts.
They'd have
the boot technology is improved.
They'd have to get the bus as well, by the way, that 2014, where this team would fly.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. So, you're not telling me Bergkamp...
You're just repeating the names. What about Charlton?
Yeah,
exactly. Charlton, Moore, Nobby Stiles, Gordon Beck. They're great players, but they've absolutely no chance.
You two have just said... That's
I'll stick with it. If you took that Invincibles team,
that's right.
Took them out as they are, as they were.
They'd beat City.
Yeah.
They'd beat City.
To play against City now, as they are, as they were. They'd be running after the ball all afternoon.
You've got an innovative. What's the word? An innovative.
Innovative.
What's the word?
Innovative.
Innovative. You've got an innovative Wenger against an innovative Pep.
But it was Wenger innovating.
Yes, he was
years
correct.
Ago.
So that team at the time was innovative. Yeah, that's the word. That Arsenal side, which I played against, would beat Man City today. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely
That's
no
rubbish.
They
That's-
would.
No, Robbie.
Hang on, I'm asking the gallery here. Look, I'm turning round.
so
Mike, in my ear, Stan,
Robbie,
who do you think would win? Be
Never
honest.
mind, Stan.
Come on,
Robbie,
they're doing
just
this.
let me finish.
They're going.
Robbie, let me have a chat, right? So you're saying
Stan's gone Arsenal.
Arsenal was innovative in when? What year was it?
2004.
2004. A Ford Mondeo was innovative.
It was what?
That's a Ford Mondeo. It was like cutting edge. Look at this car. It's got power steering. Look at it. Brilliant. Wow. This Teslas now, they're electric.
They're flying in space.
Well, they're not really, but let's just say it for the argument.
So you're comparing
the world's
the
moved
2000.
on.
Yeah. You're comparing one of the best teams that's ever been to a Ford Mondeo.
I'll compare it to the internet as well. I'll compare it to everything. Things move on. What was good in 2004? Right, another example. In the 1999, I used to love Viennettas. Right? Viennettas were the Rolls Royce of puddings. Right? I love a Viennetta. I got one the other day for £1 from Co-op.
A Co-op?
Yeah, I still liked it, but it wasn't as good as I remembered. That is exactly what's
not as good as Ben and
Invincible.
Jerry's, is it?
Exactly,
I mean,
it's moved on. Haagen-Dazs, strawberry cheesecake, half price. You can stick your Viennetta, you can stick your Invincibles. Oh, and everyone have a trifle.
Come on.
No, they're not as good. They're not as good. An Arctic roll. It's not as good.
Well, turkey's still the same. You have it for Christmas dinner. That's not moved on, turkey.
No, it's still dry. That's why we whinge about it. It's dry.
The turkey from 2000 is the same turkey you have now.
Like Pep Guardiola, I mean, methods have moved on. I cook it upside down so the juice goes into the breast.
Yeah, but, okay, the Barcelona side. So Barcelona now, to the Barcelona 10, 15 years ago. That's Barcelona side would beat the Barcelona side today.
But so you agree that more broadly, though, football has definitely moved on? All of that. You're just saying that over the last 10 years, the brilliant Arsenal team, you think they would have beaten the current Manchester City team?
Manchester United team, 1999.
Oh, obviously they're the best of all time.
Under Fergie.
Yeah.
Would they beat the Manchester City? I know it's hypothetical.
No, they wouldn't.
They would.
They wouldn't.
They would.
Steve Bruce at the back. Trying to mark Sergio Aguero. No, Gary Pallister with his big feet.
No,
Stop it.
It was Ferdinand, wasn't it? Ferdinand.
Funnily enough, I think in the 99.
No, it was David May.
David May.
Stam.
Stan.
David May was on the bench, was he?
Neville.
David May getting up pictures.
No, okay. The Manchester, the best Fergie team, the best one. Just say what it was. There was loads. His best Fergie team would be Pep's team today.
No,
I think Fred and I don't want to put words in your mouth, would agree.
No, do.
If you were to take any group of people who have excelled in history and give them access to the most up-to-date, enlightened training methods, they would be fantastic.
Could Don Bradman play today?
Right, Don Bradman.
Absolutely no chance.
If you took Don Bradman, average 99.9, legend of cricket, right? And everyone goes on about him. If you took Don Bradman, as he was, and put him into a test match now, they'd kill him.
He wouldn't be able to cope with
He wouldn't be able to with the speed, the pace, the bounce. He'd have no protective equipment on.
But he'd put it down on if he played today.
Probably break.
That's my point. I'd fear for him. Don Bradman starting his career today and going through all the same methods. I can't imagine he'd average 99, but he'd be one of the greats of the game. He'd be like Tendulkar and Ponting and these guys. Of course he would. But you can't just take someone out and put them in like these Invincibles.
I'm disagreeing. I think that the majority in the Premier League since 1992, was it? Brian Deane got the first goal in the Premier League. I think 1992 to 2000, some great teams.
I mean, one thing that I think is...
But you're saying it literally. You're saying literally the 2004 side, because of the training's moved on and stuff's moved on, that they couldn't cope physically with the 2004.
Well, I mean,
now they could.
There are a couple of things worth throwing in. I think the pitches are better today. I mean, in cricket, for example, Bradman played on uncovered pitches, and it was very uneven, so he had to adapt it.
But he didn't bowl fast.
So, hang on. Right. So statistically, when I played, right, we would have stats. We would have all the stats. Distance covered, high intensity runs, number of sprints. Yeah? So I'm talking 2000. Yeah?
Yep.
My stats were the same as today's players, if not better. Yeah, I could run.
What, miles covered?
Yeah.
What, just wandering around?
That's the first time you've been asked. Right? So, physically, I could cope today.
Mm.
So why? So what? So because what I mean is, everything's better now.
It's better. Look, compared to 50 years ago.
Look at Gary Neville's stats when he played. Look at Paul Scholes' stats when he played. Yeah. Look at Vieira's stats. Yeah. Look at Henry's stats. Look at Gary Speed. Look at Alan Shearer. Hey, Harry Kane's the closest thing about closest. So Alan Shearer couldn't play today.
We're not saying they couldn't play.
You're missing points.
Rob, let me put
I'm saying Alan Shearer would be better.
With access to modern training methods.
No, better boots on. He'd be fitter. He'd be stronger. He wouldn't be better. He'd be better.
He wouldn't.
And then he'd have his hair done as well.
It's genetics.
What I'm saying about Alan Shearer is if you took Alan Shearer, as Alan Shearer was at his best, and put him into the Premier League now, he'd be good.
He would, yeah.
He'd be brilliant.
Give Alan Shearer, with all these genetics he's got and all this ability, starting his career now, having all this science and everything available to him, what I'm saying is he would be a better player.
I don't think he would be.
Yeah. Why?
I just don't think he would be.
Available.
I don't think he could.
So you think
it's genetics, surely?
So absolutely.
David Beckham.
I'm saying genetics, but if you've got genetics, if you've got something to start from, so you've got a starting base,
I get
which is
it.
amazing genetics, and then you have the best facilities, the best training techniques, surely you're going to get the most out of them genetics. As a player, you're going to grow more as if you've got training methods from 10, 15 years
I understand your point. I do get your point, Andrew.
Spot on.
But spot on, Andrew. Again.
Is there anything, Rob, I'm just to round this off, is there anybody other than Guardiola or anything you've seen in football? If I look at table tennis, but football too, the way they warm up is different on the pitch now. One of the biggest
The way they warm up, how is it different?
One of the biggest, when I was playing table tennis.
Table tennis, yeah.
It's totally transformed the way they warm down.
What do they do? How do they warm table tennis?
The use of ice baths.
Wiggle your fingers.
Yeah. The other thing is sports medicine. The amount that has moved on.
A few wrist rolls. Yes. Oh, then crack the fingers. Well, we're ready, lads. Go on.
He's having your sport. Stick up for your sport, mate. Stick up for it.
Well, he knows.
100 grand a year.
Yeah, exactly. He knows that at the highest level, it is very fit and it's very fast. And the way that they train and the way they recover is so different now. These, ice baths didn't exist when I was...
table tennis.
No, but, in cricket, you have different recovery protocols now.
They're ice baths where I played in the Premier League. Yes.
They
didn't have cryogenic chambers, did they?
Unproven, them ice baths.
Do you think it's mythology more than fact?
I'd go in one if I was hot. Well, I'd come off at lunch and then I get an ice bath. But then afterwards, if I've been in the field all day bowling 20 overs, you can get an ice bath. I'll get up next morning, I'll be stiff. It don't matter.
Yeah, do you know what?
I'd soon have an hot bath.
Yeah, well, every now and again, I think...
Again, hot bath. That's what your mum used to say. Have a hot bath.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Have a hot bath.
It's so nonsense, that.
Yeah.
No, I think it did. It doesn't.
I think there are things that people bring in, newfangled techniques. They haven't tested them properly. There isn't data behind it. It's just some person is saying it looks trendy. I think there are some issues. I think science has moved on a lot, but there are some things.
Okay.
Good as you might imagine.
I don't know what the stat is. Injuries. Are there more injuries now than there were?
Sports medicine has definitely moved on.
Are there more injuries now?
I don't know the exact data because how you define an injury has changed.
Yeah.
20 years ago, people would carry on playing through a strained muscle. Now, because people are so keen to shepherd their resources, that they'll take somebody off and they'll get them onto a very high fidelity rehabilitation.
So to finish this, I'm saying the Arsenal team, which I played against, would beat the Man City team now.
No.
And you're saying
I'm saying not only would Man City beat them, so would Bournemouth.
I'm not sure.
Whoa! Wow! Are we leaving it there? Are we carrying on?
No. Thank you for listening. You can download the podcast for extended versions of all the topics we covered in this week's show at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Also, all the shows we've done to date are available to download there. Use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We'll be back at the same time next next week. But for now, from all of us, goodbye.
Thanks, chaps. Tonight with us, are you one of the 98% of new parents who haven't taken the option of shared parental leave after having a baby? If you're a new dad and you're still at work, why do you not share the parental leave? Love to hear from you on that tonight. 08085 909 693. A couple of experts on hand to help you if you're perhaps about to have a baby soon. You'd like to know more about shared parental leave, which has been in since April 2015, but the government says nobody knows about it.
First for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
Good evening, 10:30 on Monday night. You're with Phil Williams here on 5 Live and the late news hour.
The main news on 5 Live, Oxfam's under investigation.
In sport, Chelsea return to winning ways in the Premier League.
And before 11 o'clock, you'll hear from Jess Harris, who we spoke to last year on the programme about her wait for a kidney and pancreas transplant. And in the meantime, she's been commissioned to design a Valentine's Day card to try and promote the organ donor list. And you can hear about her design, and we'll tweet that out for you just before 11 o'clock tonight.
This is BBC 5 Live.
Let's start you off with the very latest BBC News next on 5 Live and Kev McGrath.
The Charity Commission started an inquiry into Oxfam over concerns it might not have fully disclosed all details about the Haiti allegations. Some aid workers are accused of hiring prostitutes back in 2011. Earlier, Oxfam's deputy chief executive resigned. Residents in London who had to leave their homes because of the discovery of a World War II bomb have been allowed back. The device, which was found in the Thames, has now been moved to a different location in the river. London City Airport's been closed. Theresa May is urging Northern Ireland's political leaders to make one final push to restore the power-sharing executive. She's been in Belfast for talks with the DUP and Sinn Féin, although no deal has yet been reached. And Alan Partridge is coming back to the BBC. Steve Coogan's creations to host a spoof magazine show called This Time. Partridge made his BBC debut 25 years ago. That is the 5 Live News. Knowing me, Kev McGrath. Knowing you, Nick Hatton. Aha.
Very good. After back-to-back defeats, Chelsea returned to it, winning ways in the Premier League thanks to a 3-0 victory at home to West Bromwich Albion. 2 goals from Eden Hazard sees Chelsea up to 4th in the table. For West Brom, they remain bottom, 7 points from safety. Striker Daniel Sturridge lasting just 3 minutes before suffering another injury. Prop Joe Marler says he's been given a stern warning regarding his discipline by England boss Eddie Jones. The Harlequin player has missed 4 internationals this season through suspension, but is set to make his return against Scotland in a fortnight. Ireland's Robbie Henshaw is out of the Six Nations. He dislocated his shoulder in their win over Italy in Dublin at the weekend. Danny Cipriani's confirmed that he'll leave Wasps at the end of this season. St Andrews has been chosen to host the 150th Open Championship in 2021. It'll be the 30th time the Scottish course has staged the tournament. And England could be without captain Owen Morgan as they face New Zealand in Wellington tomorrow morning. That's in the T20 Tri-Series. That's live on 5 Live Sports Extra at 5:45.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
And the weather mainly clear and frosty with showers in the south overnight. For western areas, a band of rain and increasing winds will push in, falling as snow across hills and at lower levels to the north. Into Tuesday, going to be cold with strong winds, rain, sleet and snow, mainly in the north, moving eastwards, turning drier and brighter later on for Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Wales and Western England.
So we're going to get into the shared parental leave in just a moment. Dr. Emma Bannister's with us from the University of Manchester, who's been researching this and the lack of take-up, and we'll have an employment lawyer for you as well. Just anecdotally, a couple of people have suggested throughout the day on 5 Live that they wouldn't trust their other half with the child, and that's why they're not taking up the shared parental leave. Now, obviously, we didn't want to get into gender stereotyping with you or anything like that tonight, because frankly I haven't got the patience. But what I thought we could do is, if there's something you don't trust your other half with, right, regardless of their gender, if it's just like a job that you think, no, that's my job in the house, then I'd like to know what it is tonight, please. 85058 for the job designation and why you don't trust your other half to do it.
Get more from BBC 5 Live with 5 Live podcasts.
Available now. Will Gompert's Arts Club.
Hello, I'm Will Gompertz, and on my new Arts Club podcast, an esteemed panel of comics, writers and journalists will be giving us their take on the entertainment news, reviewing films, telly, exhibitions and shows, and slaughtering some of culture's most sacred cows. Give it a listen.
Search 5 Live in your podcast app.
Get more from BBC 5 Live.
The Late News Hour
with Phil Williams on 5 Live.
10:34, welcome along to Monday night's programme. The government's urging more people to use shared parental leave after they have a baby, after it emerged that the take-up could be as low as just 2%. Shared parental leave was introduced in April of 2015 and basically allows you to share 50 weeks of leave, with 37 of those paid after your child is born. Parents can take the time separately, or if you want to, you can be home together for up to 6 months. Over 280,000 couples are eligible for shared parental leave every year, but according to the government, around half